Good evening. Thank you for joining us for the School District of the City of Dearborn regular board meeting on Monday, May 8th. We're getting started a little bit late due to a committee meeting that ran over. Apologies for that. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call.
Trustee Barry?
Here.
Trustee D'Ambrosio?
Here.
Trustee McDonald?
Here.
Trustee Mosip?
Here.
Trustee Petrikov?
Here.
Trustee Watts here. President Thorpe.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag. Ms. David Higgins, William Ford Elementary Principal, will introduce students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, President Thorpe, trustees, Dr. Maleko. It's a pleasure to be here tonight representing William Ford. I'm joined by a few of my friends. We have my assistant principal, Ms. Nesreen Najm, and we have fifth grader Bushra Ali. And we have siblings here, first grader Sarah Altuli and her younger sister in preschool in our GSRP program, Amani Alatuli, and second grader Kareem Deep. So they're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Well done.
All right. Kareem, thank you very much. Bushra. Sarah. And we don't have a plaque for you tonight. You're going to get it, but high five.
Special.
Good job bringing it.
It's the
Thank you all.
Good job.
Well done.
Before we move on with the agenda, I wanted to make a few brief remarks relating to last month's board meeting. There was items coming up about the Open Meetings Act and closed session. So I wanted to let the public know something that I had shared with the board earlier today. This comes from the Michigan Association of School Boards, and it's an overview of the Open Meetings Act. I'm going to focus on when it talks about calling for a closed session and when it is allowed. If we are considering the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of an employee or student, a closed session is available if it's requested by that employee or student. If we are hearing complaints or charges brought against an employee or school district member, we can go into a closed session if that employee requests it. We can consider a closed session for a periodic personnel evaluation of an employee if he or she requests a closed session. The only person that the board employs is the superintendent. If we are conducting strategy and negotiation sessions connected with a collective bargaining agreement, we can go into a closed session to hear from the parties that the board usually puts in charge of negotiating any contract. There's additional ways that we can go into a closed session that require a 2/3 vote from the board. Those are considering the purchase or lease of a property, consulting with legal counsel regarding pending litigation, reviewing applications for employment or appointment when the applicant requests confidentiality, and considering material exempt from discussion or disclosure by law. Also, if there's security planning to address existing threats or prevent potential threats to the safety of the students or staff, we can go in if there's, again, a 2/3 roll call. We want to make sure that we are following due process correctly, and we want to make sure that the board is fully aware and everyone else is aware of what is in the Open Meetings Act and when we are able to go into closed session. With that, I would ask Trustee Watts for us to go back to the agenda.
Superintendent's update, agenda items, retirements.
And I'll just kind of go on that because I had about due process. Appreciate the comments by President Thorpe, and I had a prepared statement, but I just wanted everyone to know that as superintendent, I will always work to protect the rights of all employees, to make sure that due process rights are followed, the Open Meetings Act, including my rights as an employee of Dearborn Public Schools. I want to make sure that we adhere to due process fairly for all employees, and I appreciate President Thorpe bringing this up. I have certain rights as every employee does, and we lead by example. So I appreciate the board recognizing this and would ask that the board makes appropriate action to correct some of the action that has occurred that has violated my rights in the past, and it's happened several times. So I appreciate that. I'm going to leave it at that. I thank you, President Thorpe, and again, I will protect the due process rights of all employees. Thank you.
You want to go ahead with?
Yes. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with retirements, and I want to congratulate and thank all of our retirees for their work over many years. Sue Beck, 21 years of service. Kevin Cook, over 29 years of service. Kathleen Clincher, over 19 years. Alyssa Genser, 22 years. Ross Groover, 13 years of service. Layla Cancel, over 30 years of service. Lorraine Lambert, over 22 years of service. Fadia Nahed, over 20 years of service. And Gina Sikora, over 29 years of service. Let's give them recognition, please. Okay, so I'm going to go down my agenda items. Just so the board's aware, we do have the board meeting schedule that's been provided to the board. So that will go, I believe, Joanne, next meeting. Yep. I also want to thank, I know we got a lot of our teachers here, and I'm going to be pumping out a message tomorrow, but it's Teacher Appreciation Week, and I want to thank our awesome teachers in Dearborn schools. I love, they're all wearing red. Wonderful. It is also Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want to thank all of our staff, our social workers, our counselors, our teachers, all of our non-instruction, all the staff that provide support to our students. I know we also have partnerships with Access and LAHC and others, and thank Mr. Asaley, Dr. Rolabazzi Gates, and the entire team that works together whenever we have an issue or crisis. I want to, next week is Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Shout out to my wife, my mother-in-law, and my mother as well. So I wanted to make sure I get that on record, and so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I also want to congratulate the district. We had the MASB Awards that we hosted at Fortson, and I know the executive director, Don Watruba, said this was the most beautiful school that he's ever been in the state of Michigan. I know it came about a year ago from Miss Trustee McDonald. We've had many people that worked on this event. It was a fantastic event. Joanne Harris did a lot of work with David Mustonen. We had SFE. I know we had Chef, I think it was Chef Pokery and the students at the Berry Culinary Arts Program that helped. We had Mr. McCloskey from Dearborn High, Liz Myers. We had student leaders. We had performances. It was a wonderful event. So congratulations, kudos to the board, and thank you for taking the lead in hosting this event that we're now the talk of the state in a very positive area. So thank you. I have a few others. I wanted to mention, I was at the a week and a half ago. Tom Wall received the Distinguished Service Award, State of Michigan, MSBO. Congratulations, Mr. Wall. I know we had many. Also wanted to mention that I was at an AASA leadership conference as my role. I will be taking over July 1 as the president of the Michigan Superintendent Association, and the training provides a great deal of support. They actually pay my expenses, which is nice too, from the state association. But I was able to meet with the head lobbyist from AASA, which is the national association, and we have a link. So as I continue my work there with the state, we'll continue to lobby and to advocate for Dearborn students, for Michigan students, and so it's just a great opportunity for our district, and so I just wanted to mention that as well. And more positive news, the Mayor's Art Award. We were recognized for organizational excellence. I know we had several trustees that were there a couple weeks ago. Ms. Myers and Ms. Durant were there, and just what a wonderful thing. I know at some point in the fall, we've put together a music committee that we've been working with Mr. Taylor and many others, and we're gonna have you we're gonna have them come before the board in the fall, but just wonderful things going on when you see the great work of the students that are occurring, and I'm always excited when I get to choose that one art piece that will sit in my office all year. So congratulations really to, you know, the entire district for the arts that are just fantastic, and we have such gifted students in this district, so congratulations to our students. Yeah. Yeah, and Miss Durant, yes. And I did just get the picture sent to me a couple days ago, so I wasn't able to post it right away. So, all right, and that's all I have under commentary. Thank you.
All right, board members with questions. Trustee Barry.
Thank you, President Thorpe. President Thorpe, as our president, were you aware of the long presentation at the last board meeting by HR?
No, I had been told that there was going to be a couple of speakers.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. I mean, spirit of no surprises, and when you are surprised, that's why we keep talking about spirit of no surprise, because when you are surprised, you react. Dr. Maleko, I never once at a meeting or publicly or anywhere say you've done anything wrong. That's just not who I am. If I thought you were doing something wrong, I would approach you. And regarding the last meeting, I owe you an explanation, and I'll get to it in a minute. I did mention at the last meeting after the HR presentation that I have a folder at home. I brought it here, but with all due respect to teachers, I am not going to go through any of these emails here tonight, because what would that do? It would peg teachers against each other. That is not right, okay? What do I mean by that? There are some teachers in a great place right now. God bless, that's a good thing. But there's also some teachers that are not in a so good place right now. And for what happened last week and some of those comments, that was very, very hurtful. When that presentation was going on, I took a look around the table, and there was some of my colleagues that were cringing at that report. I wish you would have spoke up at the last meeting, but okay, they didn't. That's okay, that's fine too. So the teachers in here, the teachers are, presented last month. My comments were in no way towards you being part of that presentation, because I have a good idea where that presentation came from. So please, if you felt like, if you felt like offended by my comments, it was definitely not towards you, and I do apologize for that if that's the way you felt. So teachers, work together. You're a powerful voice. You have a great leader moving forward and a great leadership team, so I respect that. I respect that. But with like I said, I'm not going to sit here and read. We'll be here. If you think we're going to be here all night, we're going to be here till late, early morning if I do go through this, but I'm not. But I'm not going to mention, I did receive a lot of text message. One of my colleagues always tells me that if you see something in the computer here, bring it to the board. And when she mentioned those comments, I had brought something to the attention of the superintendent way back then, but we don't need to go backwards. But I do want to mention a couple of things. I was at my grandson's soccer game at Crowley Park, and a young lady walked up and he said, "Hello, Mr. Barry." And I looked, I don't know her. Later on, my son came in, and I was talking to my son. At that point, she felt comfortable coming to me, and she said, "Mr. Barry, I want to thank you." I said, "Okay, thank me for what, please?" She said, "For what you said the other night at the board meeting." I said, "Okay, what do you mean by that?" Here's a young teacher that was just on the fence of leaving Dearborn Public Schools. She did mention Southgate, and she did mention Livonia. But she felt that she's in a good place right now moving forward, because she feels like there's some kind of change happening right now. There's also a retired teacher that was just not happy, and she ended up retiring a lot sooner than she wanted to. I ran into her at the Kroger on Michigan Avenue on her drive. And her comments to me was that if she felt that things were different, she would come back and give 5 years of her life because Dearborn Public Schools did so much to her. But those two teachers and to all teachers out there, no, you don't have to thank me, thank you. The last meeting, there was this report that I mentioned. There was 3 of us that had that report probably for close to 6 months. And I don't expect an answer from my colleagues here, but, former President McDonald and, President Thorpe, was there a reason that we held that report back and didn't share it with the rest of the board or Mr., Dr. Maleko? So how did we get to that report? Working with former President McDonald, I at first, and we reached out to MASB Legal. And they gave me clear instructions on what to do, which I followed those instructions. I worked with an attorney, forwarded a lot of information to that attorney, and throughout the whole process, I kept former President McDonald up to date, step by step. So Dr. Maleko, if you were not updated on that report, that's not on me. That's not on me. I was surprised at the last board meeting with what's happened. I was very upset because I know there are some teachers out there that are hurting. There are some teachers that not in a good place. And for what we did last time, it was it did bother me that much where I kind of reacted. So with that being said, after that night, President Thorpe shared that report with the rest of our colleagues and also with, I believe, Dr. Maleko. And like before, I've experienced it. There was some information that was leaked out there. It was 2 different community members that reached out to me, wanting to get me together with another employee to call peace. Just for the record, I don't know if that employee is here because he was included on one of the messages. To that employee, I say, I respect you. It's not personal, but when the superintendent brings us an appointment, we pretty much approve it unless there's reasons not to. And the only person that we can evaluate on employee performances is our one-on-one employee, and we already covered that. Again, I have no personal agenda against any employees whatsoever. And for somebody in the community to call me, wants to sit me down for a breakfast or lunch with another employee, first of all, we just learned that that's not appropriate for community members to be sitting down with employees and talking about their records and what have you. And I do have a couple, well, it's kind of lengthy. The only thing I ask, and I ask very nicely, is don't interrupt me. I did give President Thorpe a kind of heads up that I'm going to be referring a little story to President D'Ambrosio.
Real quick then, before you start, I think you've been going for about 10 minutes. If you can try to shorten
I
it.
don't think it's anywhere where there's a limit on what I can say and what I can't say. There's a time limit on my comments.
I'm meaning that there's board member commentary later on.
This is the appropriate time to make these comments. Okay, so I did give the heads up to Pat.
I'll give you a couple minutes and then we're going to want to keep moving.
Jim, let's not do this.
You can go forward, but I'd ask you to keep moving.
It's going to
things
take me
along.
longer than 2 minutes. Just no surprises. Just no surprises. It's going to take me a little longer than 2 minutes.
We will have people removed if we need to. If we've got police here, let's please have him removed.
You guys ain't touch me. You can talk to disrespect a guy like that? Tell him in 3 minutes? What's your problem, man?
Yeah, let's have the police remove this participant.